This is Grace Gardner from Londonborough, Pillingdon, and I'm going to show you some home sewing tonight. And what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to make it into a V-neck t-shirt rather than a crew neck t-shirt, which is at the moment. I accidentally burnt it with the iron, so I've cut out the bit that I burnt already. So it's a needed job rather than a make job. So the best thing to do is slide a bit of paper underneath. It could be any paper you like. And as you can see, I burn it pretty good. So we are going to even up the cut, and we are going to sew this back on because there's not too much of a stretch. That will actually stretch to cover that, so you won't need to replace this if we cut it carefully. So making sure that it's centered, we grab our trusty bit of soap, and as you can see it's a bit lopsided at the moment, so we need to make it come up to, let me try turn it around that way. So we're going to make it a bit more lopsided. So we need to take this bit out of here, so we need to cut this triangle off, and we need to extend it so it's the same size on the other side. So we need to cut those other parts out. So again, we use our seam ripper. We're going to put it, pull the seam slightly apart and just take it out stitch at stitch by stitch, because if you pull this wrong it's just going to ladder and make a right mess. So take it out bit by bit until we're up to where we want the top of the triangle that we need to take off. Pull off any excess threads. I'm not throwing them on the floor, I have a bin right behind me. Please be tidy if you're doing this in your bedroom, otherwise you'll end up walking on pins and that might be dangerous. So as you can see, the stitches are exposed here. Try and keep this row of stitches in, can you see that? Because that will hold it in place and will hold the two sides together, because it's actually folded in half, and it'll hold it in place for you to reattach it to the side of the fabric. So I'm just going to unpick to the top of this triangle here, and the top stitch in this line of stitching that you can see on top is actually called a top stitch, so I'm going to undo that as well. So don't get too hasty, don't try ripping it, because of the weave of the fabric you'll just end up with open front t-shirt rather than a v-neck one. Right, so we're now at the top of the triangle that I marked. Remove the excess threads that you don't need. And now, here comes the magic. We are going to find the centerpiece. So from the shoulder seam to the shoulder seam, pull it just gently and then mark the center. Simple as that. Then we are going to do the same on our opening. And you guessed it, we're going to match it up. The reason for leaving the paper or wherever it is inside is so you don't end up pinning both sides at the same time. So we're going to transfer that to that direction so it'd be easier. Can you see that? and then we're going to flip it over so that the raw edges are matching, and then pin again. And once that's pinned, we can then remove the other pin, so that's now center to center. Now we're going to gently pull that. As you can see, it does expand. If you can't hold it still, then sellotape it to the bench, stand on the edge, whichever you want to do, and you pull it straight till it matches up. It doesn't matter if it sticks out a little bit, because you're going to cut that bit off, and pin the center, and then keep repeating that until all the tape is pinned. If you do this evenly, then once you've washed it, you won't even know that it's changed, because it'll shrink into the seam. So make sure you've taken out the top stitch, because otherwise that would make a fold, and you don't want to fold at this point in time. You want a smooth flat surface, so you need to just unpick. Can you just see that? I hope so. Undo the top stitch so you can just see the edge, and again make that nice and smooth and pin. We will be replacing the top stitch afterwards, but for now we need to do the seam first to get it to go flat. So now we're going to do it on the other side. Don't forget, we've got to cut quite a bit this off, so line it up, pull it slightly tight. Normally I put it on a bench and either clamp the edge to the table or put a heavy weight on it. I use a sellotape dispensing machine, but hey, you can use anything you like, a brick or something, pair of shoes, anything that's going to hold a bit of pulling against it, or even staple it to the wall or something. Sorry, that was a bit flippant, but basically as long as it holds it still and you can pull it tight. If you've got a pair of trousers on, you can actually pull it to your trousers so that you can get the tension to get the stretch. So once you have finished putting all those pins in, if you're not sure how many to put in until you can work on a section quite easily without having to either move the pins or don't get stabbed too much. If in doubt, put loads in. You can always take them out again. Right, my rule of thumb is like literally put your thumb in between, and that's about one there, one there. Right, we're going to leave the excess on at the moment, and we're now going to sew it. So I've got the wrong thread. So I'm using this pale blue thread because I couldn't find my grey. But obviously, if you can get a matching set, then that'd be awesome. And then use my dreaded finger protector. It saves so much time because you can pull it tight and hold it, and then you've got an easy surface to go through. So literally back stitch, you can see where the seam was, so literally just follow the seam. If you get in a tangle, don't panic, just twiddle it around until the loop sorts itself out. It will catch on anything. It will catch on your fingers, on your pins, itself. As I say, just keep doing the back stitch along that seam line. If the needle doesn't go in through the fabric very well, piece of soap, just stab it a few times so the end of your needle was coated in soap, and you'll see the difference. Once you go past the pin, you can pull it out, and then there's less for it to snag on. If you're worried about your stitches being untidy, it doesn't really matter as long as they're fairly small and you keep them in a straight line, because nobody's actually going to see this particular seam once you've finished it, because it's going to get tucked inside. So once we've finished doing that little row, I'm going to leave that there so I can show you the next stage. So once we're doing that little row and we've removed all the pins, it now looks like this. So now I'm going to get my other thread and show you how to do the top stitch. So we start from the back. If you have got contrast and colour, I suggest starting from the neck seam, because then it just looks neater. It looks like you've done it deliberately in a different colour. Or if you can get the same colour, then go for the same colour. So we are going to follow these stitches. I don't know if you can quite see it on there because it's grey on grey, but if I go like this, so little tiny back stitches, try and keep them in a straight line if you can, and make sure there's no loops of fabric like there. And we're literally, you can see where the stitches were, and we're just going to copy them. The secret of hand sewing is basically, it looks like you haven't done anything to it, and it's like that all the time. So okay, so literally that's one stitch there and one stitch there, and then you go all the way around. And making sure that the last stitch fits up snug against the next stitch, fits up close against the next stitch. So you can see where we've just started to alter it. So I can pull that flat. If you do have a what I call butterfly effect, can you see that? If you pull the sticky out bit, real technical term there, you will see on the thread going in which one it is that's too loose. So we then pull that one, and that will sort, hopefully, your problem out. So if it's like loads of them, you literally just tease up the one that's giving you the problem, and then you can see which one here you need to pull to get it to go flat. See the loop? I hope so anyway. Can always pause it and expand it. So once we get to there, basically just follow on round. Please do not be intimidated about the speed of my sewing. I have done this for a few years, and it was ages before I actually got a sewing machine of my own, so I used to do all my own hand sewing. So I've done a lot of sewing since I was very small. So I always used to joke to my colleagues, the only thing the school teachers showed me at school about sewing, or at least hand sewing, was how to work a sewing machine. Haven't looked back since. So there we go. So there we go. We have a new neck, and then obviously you do all the way around. And have fun with that, guys and girls. And I do say guys and girls because some of the best dressmakers are men. So please don't be sexist. If your boy wants a sewing machine, please buy him one. Hope you have fun. Thank you for watching.